Go. They've got their gold jackets, they've given their speeches, they've unveiled their bust, and now we're going to sit down and have a little chat with the class of 2019. Do let you know that Tony Gonzalez let us know that he couldn't make it. He had another obligation, but everybody else was here. So first up, from the Washington Redskins and Denver Broncos, let's bring up one of 4 defensive backs, Champ Bailey. All right, Champ, let's bring up one of your classmates. One of the greatest personnel men we've ever seen, Dallas Cowboys, Gil Brandt. All right, as Gil makes his way up, next, Patriots, Jets, the Broncos, number 2, the second DB, number 24, I say the second DB in this 4 DB group, Ty Law. One of the best centers to ever do it. Let's bring up Kevin Mawai. Next up, maybe the only gold jacket to thank his barbers at the enshrinement speech, Ed Reed. And last but not least, Johnny Robinson, great Chiefs DB. And ladies and gentlemen, as these great players make their way up to the stage, one more round of applause for Pat Bowlen, the Broncos owner, and his family as well. All right, Ty, since you're sitting next to me, we'll get you to start this thing off.
All right.
You guys have been through a whole lot through this whole process. Has there been one moment or one incident or one person you've met or just something that happened with your class that as you get ready to walk away from this final weekend, this first and final weekend, that really sticks with you?
I think it's walking through the gauntlet. That was the one that when it really sunk in, it's like I'm in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. To see all those gold jackets, the guys you used to look up to and admire and wanted to emulate, you know, when you're playing out in the backyard. So that was the moment for me.
What about you, Adam? When you walked that gauntlet, was there a player or something that was said that really stuck with you?
No, just really seeing all your brothers. You know, all you guys you looked up to, like Ty said, you know, but for me, and I'm pretty sure for everybody, it's been every second being here in Canton. It's been phenomenal. Everybody, the fans, the volunteers, my driver, Mr. Keith, you know, he's been awesome, man, taking me to eateries around here in Canton. The Bella's Deli, you know, is one of the best places here, man. You know, so it's been awesome, though.
Okay, great. Well, Gil, you know, when you were at the Gold Jacket ceremony and you and I were up on stage, you kind of got things started here when you said the Cowboys are set to challenge for the Super Bowl this year. And why do you think that is? And how confident are you about that?
Well, first of all, Steve, let me say this. I made one person very happy, Jerry Jones. I lost one friend in Coach Garrett. As you know, I visit 13 or 14 training camps every year, so you get a pretty good feel for what the league looks like. The competitive balance in this league is unbelievable. As you know, the Bears gone from last to first, and every year we have that situation. The Cowboys started 3-5 last year and ended up in the playoffs. And if they could have stopped the run, they'd still be playing. But I really do believe the Cowboys have a team. They have a great young quarterback. They have some great young players on their team. And I think that they have an owner that really wants to win and is going to do everything possible to win. So I like the Cowboys.
All right, you heard it. Gil's and all in the Cowboys, champ. You heard Gil drop the gauntlet saying the Cowboys. You see anybody else out there?
Not the Cowboys. No, not the Cowboys. That's
Okay,
all,
that's it. You said
that.
30,
I'm not
31.
making any predictions.
No predictions, okay. What about the Dolphins?
I say the Browns.
No, don't put that kind of.
There you go. There you go. And
OH. I love that.
Ed's just trying to.
you know how many Ravens fans he just like?
He's trying to make up for last
No,
night.
nobody's
He's
buying
trying to Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals. He's trying to make up for it. You can't. Damage is done, bro.
Hey, Johnny, you've had to wait 43 years to get into this great Hall of Fame. Everyone I talk to who's had to wait says it doesn't matter when you get in, it's always special. How about your wait, and how special is it for you to finally get in?
Well, it's a very special to me, and I'm a little bit concerned about everybody saying that it doesn't make any difference, because it's kind of a I'm sorry.
Take your time, Jim.
That's okay. Take your
Good.
time. Take your time.
Yeah, well, I guess everybody knows that I've had a stroke, and sometimes my speech is difficult, but I'm great. I'm honored to be in the Hall of Fame. Better late than never.
There we go. There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Steve. Hey, Steve, for my teammate, and just knowing what Mr. Johnny's going through, and being a safety, and I know Champ and Ty would say the same thing, it's a shame that it took this long for Mr. Johnny to get in here.
Because he got more interceptions than me.
Yeah.
I tell you that.
Yeah. I know there's criteria, but, Mr. Johnny, man, for what he's done on the field, but for what he's done off the field, that's Hall of Fame stuff,
Steve, John played both offense and defense. He came into this league, he was drafted in the first round, third pick overall by the Detroit Lions, and his first 2 years in the league, he was a running back, and was a pretty darn good running back. And then all of a sudden, they moved him to defense, and gosh, the guy was a big factor. Those days, safeties were not that big a factor as they are today, but he was a big factor in the game and should have been here years and years and years ago.
No doubt. No doubt.
So, Kevin, I'm going to get you real quick, but Champ, as somebody who played on offense and defense, when you look at somebody like Johnny who made the transition and excelled, I mean, how does that make you feel? Again, a two-way player, that's not an easy thing to do.
I'm jealous, actually, because I wanted to do more on offense, and I didn't get the opportunity. And, he was great at both. And I can't consider myself a great receiver, great at anything else except corner. So, this guy has a lot more to brag about than I do, so I'm a little jealous about that.
All right, so that's right on. And now, Kevin, you're up here with all these defensive guys. When you look, you talked last night in your speech, you talked about Zach Thomas, the great Dolphins middle linebacker, and how he was your toughest opponent. But when you look at some of the guys in your class too, because I'm sure sometimes Ed was coming down in the box and things like that, having to face some great talent and try and out execute them. I know besides Zach, what was the toughest part about playing your position, and especially against great players like some of these guys?
Well, first of all, Ed was not a box player. He was a cover.
True.
So
He came down.
He came down, but he didn't.
Better go back and do your research. I was a bad boy.
There's not a whole lot of guys that like to come down in the box and trade paint with some of the big guys. But to be on the stage with these guys is absolutely amazing, and to become friends with guys that you got yelled at, they cussed at you, stop cutting me in the open field. I said, well, stop cutting me. And as I got older, I started realizing, well, I'm a 285-pound center coming out to cut a defensive back. If I was a 185-pound defensive back, I think I'd go low on the big guy too. But I respect every one of these guys. But in regards to Zach, and he was a tough competitor. He was my nemesis. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson were each other's nemesis, then Zach was mine, and so I think very highly of him. And it's funny, somebody posted something last night that they compared, and I made a huge comment last year between Urlacher and Ray Lewis and caught a lot of flack about it. And Urlacher got into the Hall of Fame, but if you look at Zach's numbers compared to Urlach's numbers, they're either the same as or better than what Brian's was. And so a lot of times your team's success determines the notoriety that you get, particularly in Pro Bowls and all pro statuses and stuff like that, but numbers don't lie. And the hardest part for me as an offensive lineman is, how do you come up with numbers? Well, we found a bunch of good ones to get me in here. And so that's where I stand on that. But God, Ed said, there are no GOATs. There's just guys that came out and did the best.
Oh, are we going there with GOATs, Kevin?
We had that conversation. We did, but this is not. We're not going to talk about GOATs.
Right.
I used to own GOATs.
Kevin used to own GOATs. Kevin used to own GOATs.
Hey, Steve, I want to say one thing about Ed Reed. First of all, he was on my Playboy All-American team. That meant he was good. But he made the greatest play that people had no idea he was responsible for, and he saved the Miami Dolphins in a playoff game when they were in the complete wrong defense, and he was completely in the wrong defense. Talk about that play that you made.
Yeah, we was playing against the Dolphins, Chad Pennington, the quarterback, and he don't turn the ball over at all. And we was in cover 2. And I knew when they put number 38 in the game, I can't think of his name, and they motioned the other guy in on the Zen motion and back out, they run a certain play, we call it the Ernie route or the Cam route with that slot guy. And I'm in cover 2 on the opposite side. And I didn't tell my corner anything. I wish I'd had Ty Champ at the time because I know they'll just play. And but Chad stared the receiver down. And as soon as he hiked the ball, I already knew it. You could see it on the snap. I just took off and then timed it right to catch the interception. It was moving so fast that I fell down. I was running so fast, caught the ball, I fell down. But yeah, it was an awesome play, man. It really was. And that's just film study, no doubt.
Okay, since you're there, Gil, what about the best play Ty Law made?
I'm sorry?
What about the best play Ty Law made? We know you're an encyclopedia.
Well, I think there was a game where he had 3 interceptions against a team that had a quarterback by the name of Manning. Yeah. And I think that was probably one of the, but Ty Law was so good. But that particular game, I thought, was the biggest difference between the New England Patriots winning and the Indianapolis Colts winning.
Would you agree? Or was the Super Bowl pick better?
I think the Super Bowl pick stands out for most people because it was the Super Bowl, but that was the game to get to the Super
Right.
Bowl, and they had 3 of them there. So I think that game and all the guys that played in the Super Bowl is getting there. That's the hard part. So the championship game is just as intense as anything. So I would have to say 3 interceptions in the championship game was more significant, like at the time, because it gets you to the Super Bowl. I was happy to get the one in the Super Bowl. Don't get me wrong. Let's not take away from that. But Gil's right. Without those 3 picks, we probably wouldn't have got to the Super Bowl.
When you guys are playing, we know guys compare themselves. We had this conversation with Ray Lewis and Urlacher last year, how they always, each game, well, Urlacher had 10 tackles, I need to get 11. Like you and Champ. Or who are the player where you said, okay, he had a nice game, but I got to go out there and have a nicer game and tie us? We'll start with you.
You know what? I looked at Champ because one time I think we tied for the league one year. It was like you had like 8 or 9, and I had what?
05 maybe.
Yeah, I had like 10, and you had what?
8.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So when we was going back and forth all year, you know what I mean? And then the last game I got 3. So that's how I get. So the last game I got 3, and we was tied pretty much going neck and neck the whole season. But as competitors, I mean, you got a lot of respect for other people's game. I couldn't keep up with Ed. Ed back there, he picking off everything all the time. So I used to try to, even though I was a little jealous, I'm like, man. He could read that ball, but as a corner, so I wouldn't even compare myself to a safety. But when you look at other corners across the league, Champ, Charles Woodson, guys like that, you want to see what they do week in and week out.
Champ?
Yeah, I agree. Friendly competition. I'm on the other side of the country. Always paying attention to these guys. He brought up Charles Woodson. That's one I would compare myself to all the time.
Soon to come Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 2 years from now, he'll be sitting here talking to you.
Kev, could you measure? They had stats, they had interceptions. Could you measure other interior linemen that you were trying to?
No, because there's no other center in the league could do what I did.
Okay,
Ooh,
explain.
that's what I'm talking about.
Explain.
Agree.
Well, I had the unique ability to be the front out and the perimeter plays and things like that. And so once we started doing it in '98 with the New York Jets, a lot of teams started trying to run the toss sweep and things like that. Well, they didn't have the centers that had the ability to get out there, and if they were kind of out there, they didn't have the athletic ability to maneuver through the trash and get to your assignment. And there's the backstory to that is a lot of teams, a lot of players try to emulate what I did, but they probably didn't spend the amount of film work and the film study and the time I spent with my running backs to know that we're going to be lockstep in how we did it. Curtis Martin and I watched film together every Thursday afternoon with the offensive line, and we decided this is what the blocking team's going to look at. This is what we think the defense end is going to do. This is where I'm going to insert, and I just need you to be patient. And there's times and multiple times on highlight films where Curtis is on my back and just slowing himself down to let me find the reads. And I was his fullback on the perimeter plays, and there was nobody else in the league that could do what I did that time.
Did you guys design that, or did the coaches say, okay, Kevin's so athletic, we can do
I sent in a series of plays to one of the reporters this week, and it was the same exact play from the same exact formation, but who pulled to who changed. There would be a play, toss 39 crack, I pulled from the Mike linebacker. Toss 39 tiger, I pulled to kick out the cornerback on the play side. Toss 39 gator, I was pulling for the safety. And so you never knew who I was coming around for, but it was out of the same exact formation as all the other ones. So it kept the defense guessing. And sometimes the defensive end would get cracked, sometimes we'd crack the Mike linebacker, sometimes we would just block it straight up. And that's the thing, you present the same exact play out of the same exact look, and just one little wrinkle changes everything. And I think these guys can attest that that's how offenses play their game.
I was about to say, when you hear something like that, knowing that there's so many things that they can run off of one set, I mean, how as a safety especially, can you read something like that to make a play?
Yeah, I was looking at the lineman's feet. I walk up to the line and I'm looking at, how they get in their stance. If their feet are flat, they can't kick back with their feet are flat, so they got to be running the ball. If they up, their heels are up, they got to be kicking back half the time, or it might be a draw or something like that. You know, so but guys like Kevin knew those things. He knew about tendencies and studied himself. You know, so it was hard to get a beat on guys like that. You know, so you have to pay attention to other things like your tight end or your receivers, who's in the game. That matters. The formation that they in, it matters. You know, those little things, you know, those are the things that you look for. You know, with guys like Kevin, you know, it's hard to get a beat on him.
It was the same thing for us, for me in pass protection. You know, I set the pass protection. If I saw too high, I know they're going to be in zone coverage, so I didn't have to worry about putting on pressure. But if Ty Law was just slightly inside the number, I know something's up. Now we're going to expect, I mean, it could be a matter of 6 inches to 12 inches, and it changes the dynamics of everything. You know, they look showing too high, and then Ed could be maybe a half yard lower down into the box than the other safety. They're about to roll coverage, and I can change the protection on that. And very seldom, I mean, we always felt like the players that weren't the greatest players didn't give those tendencies, but the ones who were the great players are the ones who can hide it, and those are the ones that gave you trouble. But for people that don't understand football to the level that the guys on this stage do, an inch matters. An inch makes all the difference in the world, because that's a telltale, and that's where you give up your poker face.
Steve, let me add this to what they're talking about. You know, in the old days, people used to run 2 formations. We call them red and brown. And everybody laughed at the Cowboys because they shifted. And nobody could understand what are these Cowboys trying to do, show off. So what you were trying to do is hide the formation that you ran a play out of. And now, with the computer and the probabilities, everybody knows that on 3rd and 10 from the left hash mark with 5 or less minutes left in the game, 92% of the time you do this, 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 and this. So now what the defense has to look out for is false keys by the offense. So they'll false key a play that you think is going to be this play, and all of a sudden it's completely opposite. It's unbelievable the depth that this game is played to. And we have the greatest players in the world, and I don't understand how they understand it all, because they get that computer printout. It's about a foot long, it seems like, and with everything they have to learn from week to week.
I want to go around the room, and I'm going to start with you, Gil, and come around the room. But what made you kind of decide to take the path you took?
Well, I was in the baby picture business, and I had an opportunity to
Meaning you were taking photos of babies?
Well, I had a consignment deal, but I got this call from Tex Ram, because I had worked for the Rams on a part-time basis, and on October 25th, 1959, Tex called me and he said, I've got a job for you. I said, Tex, I don't know anything about television. At the time, Tex was the head of CBS Sports and about to put on the Winter Olympics at Squaw Valley. And he said, no, we're going to have a team in Dallas, and I want you to come along with me. Now, but when I say come along with me, make sure you can bring all along anything you can bring along with you, because the minute the draft is over, we're going to go out and sign players. And so I went to New York, and we mimeographed some contracts. We didn't have a franchise. We didn't have a team name. And the first house that I went to, I was competing against Frank Leahy. And I said, man, I'm way overmatched. And the great thing about it is I did sign Jake Krauthamel, running back at Dartmouth that time. And with Tex, it always was, how much money did we spend? How much money? And I signed him. We beat Frank Leahy and the #1 draft choice of the LA Chargers, and we played him a resounding $7,000. And I almost lost my job for paying too much money. So I wasn't sure I was in the right business or not.
And isn't it amazing how much Gil, I mean, he can remember everything about everything.
And that's why he's a Hall of Famer.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So Ed, I mean, look, you know, we heard you in a speech last night. You talked about, you know, playing football and growing up, and that was kind of part of it. But was there a trigger or something that made you say, you know what, this is why I'm going to be special, or this is how I know I'm going to be great?
Man, that's a great question. First off, before I forget, and I got the thought because I'm looking at his picture, and I know my teammates would agree with me. Pat Bolin, you know, he's here, you know, with us. We represent him, you know, as a group. So, you know, I know his family's not up here, but I want to make sure we recognize our brother who went in with us. For me, growing up in Louisiana, you know, it's what I had to do. Like, football was a opportunity. You know, it was one of those things. It's like, you know, if you're gonna do anything, you know, you got to get your education, of course. You know, and my dad worked at a shipyard. My mom worked in a restaurant. You know, and we didn't always have the funds. You know, Christmas wasn't always a bunch of presents. You know, so it was an opportunity for me to provide for my family. You know, it was not about the accolades or anything. It was about making a better way for my kids, you know, and not being a knucklehead and spending it and doing the wrong thing. It was about representing the game right, but also getting the finances, you know, to where I could provide, you know, for my son, you know, where if he don't be a star athlete, he don't play a down of football or any sport, I could pay for him to go to college. My parents couldn't afford for me to go to college, so I had to play a sport, you know, and I played all sports, you know, and each one of them contributed to me being a great athlete on the football field. You know, I ran track, as Chant was talking about. You know, I threw the javelin. You know, I ran
Wait.
football.
You do the javelin?
Oh, y'all didn't know that about me?
What
Teammates?
place you come in the track meet?
Well, if you check, if somebody got Google, they can Google me.
Come on, champ.
Having
Can't see that one.
yeah, man, I got
can't
the
see it.
University of Miami record still for throwing a javelin. Somebody in here got a phone.
Well, there we go.
You know,
Boy,
so
you can't throw that cigar past that stage right there.
and you know what? He ain't lying. It ain't leaving my hand. But yeah, so I excelled at football, and in high school I had to make a choice, you know, which was what I was going to play, and it was easy because I started getting letters, and once I knew I chose to go to University of Miami because I felt like that would give me the best opportunity to make it to the next level. And I knew the next level was the last level. You know, there's no other level, you know, after that. And once I got to the University of Miami, you know, you start to hear people talk about draft. Nah, I know I could play football. So all I wanted was the opportunity. I didn't care if it was first round or free agent. You know, I was going to play football, you know, and make good of it.
What about you, Ty? Because we know the greatness of athletes. I mean, the talent, richness that comes out of Aliquippa. But what about you? What was kind of the trigger to say, okay, this is the path I'm going to take?
I think, like I said in my speech last night, realizing, having a couple brushes running with the streets, that I wasn't cut out for that life. I grew up, it was drugs, you know, that kind of swept through, stick-ups. I seen a lot of my friends get incarcerated, some get killed. Some addicted to drugs, and I just didn't want to do that. And then I had the opportunity to spend my summers with my uncle Tony Dorsett, and that's what did it to me. I really, when I walked in there, he had me at hello, and it wasn't because, you know, of just things like the Heisman Trophy, like I talked about. It was the little things at the time. You know, of course, the Heisman Trophy, and you look at the Hall of Fame bus, but when I walked in, I came up with cookies and cream. Tony Dorsett had Oreos. I had Choco chip cookies. He had Chips Ahoy. I say, oh, I'm in. Sign me up.
I mean, since you said that, how cool is it? Because it's rare. You're in the Hall of Fame with your uncle.
Right.
I mean, I can't even imagine that. I mean, what's that like?
It's amazing to, you know, be on the same team when you grew up. It was always, he's going to be the next Tony Dorsett, you know, because I was a running back, you know, as a kid in the Pop Warner, and you always heard that. You always heard, my mom grew up with him, and my dad, and, you know, it was always a dream come true. I grew up in Pittsburgh, and if you're not a Steeler fan, you know, it was like almost a crime. I didn't grow up a Steeler fan. I grew up a Cowboy fan because of Tony Dorsett. You know, I always wanted to be him. So to get the opportunity to actually talk to him and just be in the summers with him, you know, I was living the dream. I watched everything that he do, and I was trying to play it cool, you know, but anything he did, I'm watching. You know, I'm going there. So he was such a motivating factor for me, inspiration. And I said, one day I'm going to do that because he walked the same streets that I walk. You know, he lived in the same area. He fought through the same circumstances because he didn't have a lot either growing up. So, you know, I was like, if he can do it, I can do it.
Steve, one thing, we had an advanced scouting report on Ty Law because he spent every summer down in Dallas working out at our practice field.
There you go. Chip, you talked about the competition with your brothers.
Yeah.
You know, your older brother, your younger brothers. Is that what drove you the most, or was there something else just inside of you that said, you know what, football is my way?
You know, there's a collection of events that, you know, propelled me to want to, you know, be a part of the game. But, you know, starting out, I mean, 5 years old, the first game I remember was the Redskins and the Raiders. I can't remember what Super Bowl. It was 1984. I'm 5 years old. And I just remember Darryl Green, you know, and for some reason that stuck out to me. And then my brother's playing his first year of Pop Warner football. And that just inspired me because I wanted to do everything he did. And I said that a lot in my speech because, you know, if he didn't pave the way and show me that it was enjoyable, you know, it was something that, you know, my family always talked about, the game. I mean, but as I got older, I started getting better. I loved the game. First time I touched the ball, I scored. You know, so it's all those moments added up to me falling in love with the game.
And do you believe Ed Reed is that good at the javelin?
No, not yet. We're gonna have to see this.
Somebody got to Google this, man.
I'm just trying to figure out why this is the first time I heard this.
I can't believe that, Chad, man. God, come on, man. I averaged 22.
Oh, wait, somebody's got it over here.
He really did throw the javelin.
Wait, we got the numbers. Hold up. What's the numbers?
He owns the record by 6
Okay.
Hey, real talk.
My guys. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes.
He's gonna get into Miami.
See, we have even more in common.
No practice.
Okay,
No practice.
now impress us and convert the 106-yard interception return into meters.
Yeah.
Now impress us. All right, Kev, what was it for you? Because we heard your story. You know, over in Germany, you started playing football and these, but what was it? Because I mean, there's always a moment when you say, I've got to commit.
Yeah, you know, we talked about, Ty and I talked about this. This is all we ever wanted to do. I mean, my freshman year, I took a speech class, and you had to do research on a career that you thought you would want to be a part of. And I did a speech on being a psychologist, and no knock on any psychologist in my opinion, but I thought that was the dumbest thing ever. But I did it because the year prior, or the 2 years prior to that, I was in the 7th grade class, and I had a teacher. And so for those of you who might have grew up around a military base, this was now, we're in Louisiana, and I'm at Leesville Junior High School, and if you're a military dependent in a school district, you had to fill out paperwork and you had to give out your parents' names. So the federal government gives funding to the public school system for dependent children, military dependent children. And there was a section on there that said professionals, and it had doctors, attorneys, educators, and something else. And then there was a professional athlete. And my teacher scoffed at the idea that a professional athlete should be at the same level as a white-collar professional. And it crushed me. It crushed me because she doesn't know me. It's my first year living in Louisiana. I'm sitting in the classroom, and my dream is to be an NFL football player. And this teacher sits there and laughs at the idea that a professional athlete would be regarded as the same as a professional white-collar profession. And it bothered me because now, 20-something years later, 30 years later, the work that I had to do to be on this stage right now was equivalent, if not greater than, some of the white-collar professions that are out there. And the education that I had to go through to get to it and things like that. And a lot of times athletes get portrayed as dumb jocks. But the reality of it is we've all been to college. And most of the guys in the NFL are working on or don't have or already have a secondary degree. And that bothered me as a 7th grader. And so the impact that words have on young people are huge. But I would not let that teacher's negativity towards my dream take away from my dream. I was going to be a football player, and I was going to be one of the best ever. And I just wanted to play the game because I loved the game. And then fast forward, I'm in college. I had my first summer job as an LSU student. I was working in a chemical plant. Had hard, steel-toe shoes on, long jeans, long sleeve t-shirt, goggles, hard hat. And I'm sitting in the middle of Louisiana summer heat with 85% humidity on top of a 30-foot cat cracker laying tar. I was like, I am not doing this for a living. I will make it to the NFL. And so those are two of the things that really forged me. But that one thing with my 7th grade teacher, that hurt me. It hurt me big time. And I let that be a driving force to say, I'm not going to let somebody's negativity turn me back.
Ty, did you ever have something like that happen? Someone doubt you or say you aren't good enough to do that? Did you ever have someone do it to use that as a springboard like Kevin just talked about?
Oh, yes. I mean, that was a huge factor for me in anything I do when you doubt, my abilities. And even when I went to University of Michigan, I had a lot of support behind me, don't get me wrong, but it was a lot of people. The thing that stuck with me is those that said that school was too big. He's good, but he's not that good. That drove me to prove you wrong. When I decided to leave and come out of college, I had coaches tell me that I wasn't ready to play in the NFL. First of all, I had to take care of my family. But for you to say that I'm not ready and I'm not good enough, that's a problem. You know what I mean? I've got to prove you wrong. That's why I always say, believe in yourself. That was what my message was. And I've heard it from the time I was, 8, 9 years old. And when people doubt you, I've got used to proving people wrong, about what I can and what I can't do. But as long as I believed in myself, things turn out the way they're supposed to turn out. And that's what I stick to.
Jim, you were saying in your speech last night how great it was when you went to Washington. You had Darryl Green and Dion there to kind of give you lessons and to help guide you. How important was that? Because I think there's some players, and you guys definitely know better than me, who may come into the league and they don't have necessarily that type of support from great players. I mean, they're both in the Hall of Fame as well.
Yeah, it's very rare. I was so fortunate, so blessed to walk in the building. I mean, the first player I remembered was Darryl Green, or ever seen as a 5-year-old. That I remember him playing. Now he's my teammate. I mean, it was.
Did you remind him of that you were 5 when you saw him playing there?
I would tell him all the time. I mean, you talking about 15 years later, I'm on the same team with this guy. So one thing about it, our coach then was Tom Hayes, DB coach. But Darryl Green was really my coach because he would coach the safeties, and me and Darryl Green would be in the corner. And I ate it up. I mean, everything he told me, I took to heart. We were different body types. But the things that he taught me carried over in my game because, I mean, I'm a physical, I want to be in your face, put my hands on you. But he always would say, man, yeah, your hands are great, but your feet are better. And that's how he played the game. And I took that to heart. I carried that with me throughout my career. And then in my second year, Dion comes in. We're more built the same, so I'm just watching him. He didn't have to say anything. I just watch him. And I would take those things Darryl said, look at the things Dion said. Dion was flashy, but, man, he was smart. He was a pro. He took the game serious. He always respected his competition. And those are the little things that I just carried with me throughout my career. That's the reason I'm sitting here.
Fantastic.
And didn't Dion have great work habits? Wasn't he one of the first guys on the field and so forth?
Oh, yeah. He had his routine. I mean, he was a man. I mean, this dude showed me how to prepare.
Was he laying his uniform out then?
Yes. I would never forget.
On the floor?
First preseason game, I walk in the locker room. Our lockers right next to each other. I'm like, what the hell is this on the floor?
Yeah.
He had his bandana,
Yep.
his headband for his neck. You know, he used to wear that thing around his neck. Then he have his jersey, his sleeves, gloves.
Socks,
It's almost like he laid down with his uniform on and got up.
Look, hey,
I mean, it's
bro, I'm an offensive
Just like that.
lineman, and the one thing I know is if you look good, you feel good. And if you feel good,
You play
that's
good.
right.
You play good, they pay good.
Pay good. You got the pay good. That's right. Get the pay good.
And if they pay
That's right.
good, it's all good.
Hey, Kevin, you know, as an LSU player, you know the legacy.
Well, you know,
That Johnny put
in all
out.
honesty, all right, I pride myself on knowing about LSU's history. I think it's a responsibility of every player when you go to a university to know about the players that came before you. And I think it's a responsibility of the players when you come into the NFL to learn about the guys that set the foundation, not just the league, but the team that you're on. So when I went to LSU, I knew everything about Billy Cannon. I was fortunate enough that three of my high schools teammates were already there. Eddie Fuller caught a touchdown against Auburn to tie the game. It's called the Earthquake game. And his nickname is Earthquake Eddie. And that touchdown against Auburn, I was at the game, and it sealed my fate as a Tiger. And I went on to learn about Gus Tinsley and Steve Van Buren and Jimmy Taylor. And I'm sad to say I never knew of Johnny Robinson because he played behind Billy Cannon. He was the #2 running back on the roster for the national championship team. And people didn't know that. And so I didn't learn of Mr. Johnny until this process. And then I started hearing about all the interceptions and the Super Bowls. I was like, how did you not? And how does LSU not celebrate that? Yeah. But here's the thing about the NFL, about football. Players mature or come into their own at different points and times in their careers. I didn't come into my own until I got into the NFL. I was a good player in college. I didn't make All-American. I was a third-team All-American. I'm not, and Mr. Johnny had to play behind a Heisman Trophy winner. And so there's always that guy that's behind you somewhere. And so to learn of Mr. Johnny and his accomplishments, now I'm like, man, this dude's a legend at LSU. But the only people that knew about him at the time were the people that played with him. And so it's a disservice to him because of his NFL career that LSU hasn't celebrated his NFL career more because everything in college is usually about what you did in college. So I'm honored to share the stage with Mr. Johnny. It's a privilege to be a Tiger with him.
Me too.
All right, Gil, we're going to start with you. We're going to work our way around, but I ask this to the group here every year. Person, player, coach, contributor who is not in the Hall of Fame who should be.
Well, could I do it a little bit differently?
Yes.
One time I
Do what you
drafted.
want, Hall of Famer.
One time I drafted.
Hey, you can do whatever you want.
A third-team quarterback from Notre Dame University, from Canton, Ohio. And we had a fellow by the name of Roger Staubach and another fellow named Craig Morton on our football team. And so, a third-team quarterback, what chance does he have? His name is Bob Belden, and he made it for our team in the National Football League. And he turned out to be pretty good. In fact, he won a regular season game for us when our other two quarterbacks were hurt. And after the season was over, I called him in and I said, I have an opportunity to trade you to the Philadelphia Eagles. What do you think about that? He said, Gil, he said, I proved that I could play in the National Football League. And he said, I'm going to go back to work for my dad at Belden Brick Company in Canton, Ohio.
How about that? That's a great story. That's awesome. That's a great story. All right, Ed, who's not in the Hall, who you think should be in the Hall?
First off, because of football, we're able to take care of our families, and that's why Ty had to step away. Nothing serious, but he had to go take care of his family. For me, man, it's two people, and I mentioned one last night. He was taken away from us way too early, and Sean Taylor. Yeah.
Yep.
You know, I had
Great safety.
the privilege of mentoring him, you know, and having some, you know, some hands on that guy being a great safety. And obviously he'll get in here soon. You know, I actually offered him, you know, this chair, you know, for him to be up here and me to be in, you know, next year. But I know he'll get in, and that's Steve Atwater.
Right on. Another Bronco.
Yeah, right.
Champ.
That's a good pick. You took my pick. You know, there's
Okay, well, on that note, why
it's-
is Steve?
Well, I mean, just the way he played the game. I mean, I just remember watching him, and you know, he played with such grace, and then getting to know him as a man and how respectful he is of the process and how respectful he is for the game. And I mean, he's just a good dude, man. And I think, you know, what he did on the field speaks for itself, but I think what he did off of it says a lot about who he is and why he should be in.
Kevin, I know you mentioned Zach.
You know how I feel about him, and it's funny. I was one of the most hated Jets players by all the Miami Dolphins fans.
Yep.
And in the last 12 hours, I become one of their favorites. So, but again, I can't sing his praises enough. And you know, the guys that I would have said should have been in are in. The guys I felt the most challenged by are here. You know, I know Richard Seymour was on the finalists last year. I hated him. I absolutely hated him. But he was a guy you always had to be reckoned with. So he's a guy that I look forward to greeting on this stage one day. But so those would be two guys.
All right, and then really quick, because we've got to wrap this up too. I got one more, then I got a big wrap-up question. Quickly, a player in the NFL today that each of you guys seeing is on course to join you here in Canton. Gil, we'll start with you.
Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh, okay. There you go.
First ballot
That's easy.
Hall of Famer.
Ed?
Oh man, if he continue to do the things he's doing right now, Eddie Jackson.
Oh, all right.
He's a young guy. Yeah, the safety.
Fantastic player.
Yeah, I like what Eddie Jackson's doing right now, man. He's definitely one of those guys. And Earl Thomas.
There you go, safeties. Absolutely. Champ?
Wow, you know, those are good picks because, you know, Eddie Jackson is not a Hall of Famer right now, but he's on that.
Right.
Right. And that's inspiring me to say this guy, Chris Harris. And
there you go.
And the reason is because he came into the league as a free agent. And man, the moment I saw him practice, I'm like, this dude's gonna be special. He was a dog. Like, he did not care what anybody thought. Walkthrough? No, we are running through this walkthrough. He didn't care. He was always intense, and even to this day, he's that same kid. Hungry, acting like he has a chip on his shoulder. They didn't include him in the top 100 for some reason. I think that's bogus. But, I mean, the kid doesn't let anything kill his spirit, and he's just a grinder, man. I love that about him.
He is all the way pit bull.
For me, you know, being now on a college football staff, I enjoy watching college football more than I did NFL. And so I don't pay enough attention to the NFL to give an intelligent answer to that. The obvious one's going to be Tom Brady. You know, so he's the guy. But, you know, I don't care who it is because when they get here, they're going to be one of us anyways.
Right.
There you go.
Hey, Steve, can I say one thing?
Yes.
If there's such a thing as a sportscaster or a host Hall of Fame, you'd be at the top of the list.
No. I'm on the practice squad. There's a whole lot of people a lot better than me, but thank you, Gil. There's a whole lot of people better than me, but thank you. Now, the most important question of the weekend, I think everybody in here wants to know. What brand of cigar are you always holding, Ed Reed?
First off, because I know they got kids in here, you know, don't smoke, kids.
You're holding it. You're not smoking.
Until you're
holding
old enough to understand what you're doing to your body. This is a Placencia. they great friends, Javier Carranza, and I know Nestor and those guys up there from Nicaragua, one of the better brands that's in the cigar industry. And I'm a big cigar guy. I used to study tape and smoke a cigar. Watch a bunch of tape, man. It takes a nice hour or so, you know. I'm sure there's some brothers of the Leaf and sisters of the Leaf in here. who smoke cigars, so they know it takes an hour or two, so you gotta be wanting to let go and let things, kind of take its course, during the day when you enjoy yourself a cigar, man. So
do you think he's going to watch film of like everything he's done this weekend? He seems to have breaking down everything. That's
I
deep.
mean, this is it, man. Honest, man, this is a great event. Like we've been through a lot this week, but this is the way to do it. I like the panel. I like being able to be up here with the guys and answer questions. I think that's a great way to do things. You can speed it up. You don't have to sit through our long speeches, my tears and boo-hooing, But I think this is a great way to do things, just to sit and take it easy and relax and everybody just enjoy, this moment, that we have together. I mean, it's special, man. This is just truly special.
And it is special, and I feel blessed you all let me share the stage with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the Gold Jacket class of 2019, Ty Law, Ed Reed, Gil Brandt, Johnny Robinson, Kevin Mawai, Champ Bailey. Why don't you toss that ball to Champ right here? Everybody on your table, you've got these photo balls of the class. And if you didn't get one there, you could buy it. Please salute this greatness. And one more round for Pat Rowland and his family as well.